All right, we are now live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of the Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission of February 25th, 2021, 4 p.m. The meeting is held via Zoom. First off, I will do roll call, please. Commissioner Glab. If you can take yourself off mute, and Commissioner Glab.
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Poland.
Here.
Commissioner Andre Vallarta.
Here.
Commissioner Ashendorf.
Here.
Commissioner Rutherford.
Here.
Commissioner Garcia.
Here.
And Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Rutherford.
Thank you. If you could please join me and stand or take a knee and place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Rutherford. And now we are going to do the administration of oath of office for newly appointed Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commissioners. So if all the commissioners would please raise your right hand. Okay. Actually, you may want to take yourself off mute right now because at the end you will have to affirm. All right. Do you solemnly affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Congratulations and welcome to the commission. All right. The next we will do is election of officers. This is the time where we will select a chairperson for the commission. And at this time, we'll see. Let me see. We got to go to public comments. Would any members of the public like to speak on the appointment of the chair or vice chair? If you do, please raise your hand now. If you're on the phone, press *9. All right, seeing no members of the public that want to speak on that, I will now accept motions for chair. Please raise your hand if you'd like to make a motion.
Brenda, can I make a motion?
Yes, please.
I'd like to nominate somebody who's really been a mentor, a friend, and a forward-thinking leader for our city, Charlene Ashendorf.
Okay. Is there a second for that motion? Okay, second by Commissioner Dorn Parker. Are there any other motions for chair? I now close the nominations. And so we will now do the roll call vote for Commissioner Ashendorf for the position of chair. Commissioner Glab?
Yes.
Commissioner Poland?
Yes.
Commissioner Andre Vallarta? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Ashendorf?
Yes.
Commissioner Rutherford?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Yes.
The motion carries 7-0. Congratulations, Chair Ashendorf. And now we will accept nominations for vice chair. Chair Ashendorf.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Cassius Rutherford for Vice Chair of the Commission.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Garcia. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair?
I'll second that.
Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Garcia seconded it already, so we're good. All right, so we'll close the nominations for vice chair, and we will now do the roll call for that. For Commissioner Rutherford for vice chair. Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Commissioner Poland,
Yes.
Commissioner Andre Vallarta,
Yes.
Chair Ashendorf,
Yes,
Commissioner Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
and Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yes.
The motion carries 7-0. Congratulations, Vice Chair Rutherford. All right. So we are now going to move on to item number 7, which, oh, I'm sorry. Would Chair Ashendorf or Vice Chair Rutherford like to make any comments?
I'd just like to reserve my comments for the comment section of the meeting, please.
Ditto. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you. We will now move on to the minutes. Chair Ashendorf, would you like me to assist, or would you like to go ahead and move forward?
I think I'm ready to begin. All right,
Okay.
next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of January 28th, 2021. And for our new commissioners, just a reminder, even though you have not attended that meeting, you are legally approved to adopt those minutes. So please, we will entertain a motion. If
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes of the meeting on January 28th at 4 p.m.
Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second from Commissioner Glab. And I'll take the vote unless there's any comments. Chair Ashendorf,
yes,
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Commissioner Pullen,
Yes.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta, sorry,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
thank you. The motion carries 7-0.
thank you. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Sylvia, can you tell me if we have anyone who wishes to speak for 3 minutes on items not on our agenda tonight?
I have one raised hand. Let me see who that is. I have a Marcus Lutens. I'll go ahead and bring him into the meeting.
Thank you.
Hello. Hopefully this is the right moment to bring this up, but Chair Ashendorf reached out, and I'm working on a COVID grief memorial, and it's a nationwide memorial to help communities grieve for COVID. And it involves making felt roses in the community. And I'd very much like to work with you if possible. I'm not sure how to go forward on that, but I'm available. We're doing 3 memorials on Monday. We're doing one at the Orange County Museum of Art in California. We're doing one in St. Louis, Missouri, and we're doing one in Eastern Texas. But I'd love to work with your community as we want to bring this to all communities in the nation.
Mr. Lucian, it's good to see you and have you here this afternoon. Are there any questions The event on March 1st at ACMA, is that open to the public?
It isn't really open to the public because of social distancing, but there is a Zoom connection which you can find on the OCMA website.
And the name of the project again, Mr.
It's
Lucy?
Rose River Memorial. And
right.
our website, if you're curious, is www.roseriver.memorial.
Thank you. Any other comments, commissioners or Sylvia?
Again, if you're a member of the public and you wish to speak on items not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Seeing no more, you may close public comments.
Thank you. We will now close public comments. Now it is time for commissioner comments. And I'd like to start off and do this in numeric order. Let's welcome Commissioner Glab and have you address the commission and the community this afternoon.
I don't have anything right now to address the commission with. So unless I don't know if you
Perhaps
want.
you can tell us a little bit about yourself, Commissioner.
Oh, sure. Okay. I grew up in the state of Washington. I moved down to California in 1988. I couldn't find a teaching and coaching job, so a girlfriend talked me into moving down here, which was the last place I wanted to live, and now I'm here for good. Taught and coached wrestling at Marina High School for 2 years, and then I went to Santa Ana High School, and I taught English and coached wrestling there for 29 years. I retired in 2019, and I'm helping my son out at Costa Mesa High School with their wrestling program, and I'm substitute teaching over there, and wanted to find a way to get involved and pour more into the community. As I put so much time into the Santa Ana community, I had little time to invest in Costa Mesa. So
Thank you so much, and welcome to the commission.
thank you.
District number 2, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Chair Ashendorf. I want to definitely extend a warm congratulations, a welcome to all of our fellow commissioners who got sworn in tonight. I'm really excited to work with you, collaborate with you, and move our city forward. And in that respect, I'm really excited. I want to extend a thanks to Director Minter for running a great community meeting on Saturday at Ketchum Libel Park for the potential expansion and renovation of the park. So I think we heard a lot of great feedback from the community. Commissioner Dorn Parker, Commissioner Ashendorf, Councilmember Chavez was there. And so I really am supportive of those efforts to improve park access in West Side. I also recently attended the housing element district meetings that were happening throughout the city. And so we had a really great discussion in District 2, which is one of the more denser districts in our city, about where we can meet our housing needs. So I'm really looking forward to collaborating with the community on that. I also want to extend a congratulations to all the city staff and the department for a great movie night in February. I know there were raving reviews from the community, so I thought it was awesome to see our city put that drive-in movie on. And then lastly, I want to throw this out as an idea, as something we could all do as a commission together. Arbor Day is coming up in April. And so I think we should maybe think about a tree planting event in our community somewhere where we could use some more green infrastructure. So thank you, and back to you, Chair Ashendorf.
Thank you. We welcome District 3 Commissioner Pullen.
Hey guys, Quentin Pullen here. Most of you know me or will see me around the city as Coach Q. I was a candidate for mayor in 2020. And one of the things that I was on my list of things to do was improve the park experience in Costa Mesa. I frequent the parks here in Costa Mesa as a coach. I work out in the parks, and it's been really, really fortunate. I've been fortunate to have the parks in Costa Mesa open during this COVID crisis so that I can actually help people keep getting fit. Some of the things that I wanted to address, we have a cleanup this weekend at Fairview Park. So if any of you guys are available and willing to come out and help, From 9 o'clock until 11:30, we have a Fairview Park cleanup. I'm really involved with helping those guys keep that park clean and keep the parks around Costa Mesa clean. I had a chance on yesterday to go over to Ketchum Park and just take a look at the space and get a chance to talk to a couple of the residents that were over there to ask them, just being there, what changes they would like to see in the park. So I got some ideas for that thing and a lot of the other parks around Costa Mesa, how we can help improve the experience Mesa and grow our community stronger. One of my biggest things too is getting the community involved in volunteering to help us with the jobs that we have for parks, arts, and community service. So I'm looking forward to being on the committee, looking forward to giving a little bit of my expertise, and helping the community grow.
Thank you, Commissioner Pullen. Now let's welcome District 4, Commissioner Garcia.
Hello. Just a little bit about me. I grew up in the city. I graduated from the local high schools. And then just recently, I was sitting on the Bikeway and Walkability Committee. So I hope that whatever I learned on that committee, I could translate it over to this commission. And then additionally, I toured Perez Park, which should be opening soon. And it was really nice. I was really happy with everything that was in and around the park. So that's a little bit about me. I'm just going to lay back and try to follow right now.
Thank you very much. District 5, Commissioner Andrade Vallarte.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Angeli, and I'm very excited to join the commission. I have about 20 years of background in nonprofit organization and administration. So I'm very excited to be part of the commission and help engage our community from all areas into really more active lifestyle and really enjoying our beautiful outdoors.
Thank you very much. And would like to welcome and introduce.
Oops. Hi. So I've been in the community. My husband and I bought our house over 30 years ago, and we've participated greatly across the Costa Mesa city resources, from our children being part of the Parks Rec and the community services, to me, myself, volunteering as president of the NHBA and working with the soccer league. But also I served the community for over 3 decades, elected to the County Board of Education. So I understand the critical need of space and resources for the children, especially the children coming in that have no space. And also personally, professionally, I work at Orange Coast College and their foundation. So I look forward to having a lot of collaboration and see where the city and the college can maybe collaborate a little bit more with open space. We have a whole new buildings coming online, from our beautiful aquatic center to quad space and open space. So I'm really looking forward to giving back. I have taken lots from the city across the 30 plus years, and all my children and us ourselves. So I'm really looking forward, and I'm grateful that I got a chance to be appointed to give back. So I look forward to getting to know all of you and working on behalf of all of the folks here in Costa Mesa.
Thank you. And again, I'd like to reiterate, we welcome all of the new commissioners, this new structure, having everyone representing not only our city, but your own districts. That brings new perspectives to our commission. I know Mr. Director Minter will report later about the services. Specifically, I'd like to acknowledge the Costa Mesa Senior Center staff. They continue to bring services, food delivery, transportation to our seniors. They do wellness calls every single day, and they're offering Zoom programming, whether it's supports programs or senior roundtable, veterans meetings, all on Zoom. So thank you to our senior center. And while arts are on hold, arts are still essential and important in this community. I'd like to share with you that as the arts liaison, I had the good fortune to work with staff member Ashley Thomas this past week and interview all 7 of our new cultural arts committee members. And arts will be on hold no longer in this city. We have good things to look forward to. I would like to point out a couple things to staff, especially Mr. Minter. I'm sorry, when you look at the PACS website, I see all of the names and districts are in place, but I did notice that Perez Park is not up to date on the website. And also, we're going to have to look at the park signs because they have districts as the old park districts. So I assume that that change, we'll roll out those changes, I assume in the future. Finally, I would just like to say that I was at Shalimar Park 2 days ago, and I was met by 7 little people, and they asked me, "Are you here to fix our park?" And I said, "No, what's wrong with your park?" And having, these 14 eyes, it was a good insight. They took me around the park and showed me that there is a rocking horse that's missing, and that there is a tire swing that's been removed, and that the jungle bars are gone. And there's also a water pipe that is not covered, and it's exposed as you walk directly on the park. So the little people who use Shalimar Park would like to ensure that that park is taken care of. And finally, tagging along to what you said, Commissioner Pullen, I'd like to challenge everyone on this commission to represent their district on May 15th for Love Costa Mesa Day. We're looking for projects and volunteers, and you'll be learning more about that in the days and weeks to come. So thank you very much. Moving on, there is nothing on consent calendar. There is no old business, and so we will move to new business. And Sylvia or Brenda, would you like to tell us what that is?
I can take it, Commissioner, if you're okay with that.
Thank you, Director.
Jason Minter, Community Parks and Community Services Director. I have had the pleasure of meeting with a few of you, so the ones that I haven't met with, I look forward to doing so. This item tonight is to approve the installation of a memorial bench and tree at or near Tewinkle Park. We're happy to have on the call with us the mother and father of Noel Bascon. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this story. It's a very tragic story that took place just this past December, where their son was struck and killed by a drunk driver. Thank you to Councilwoman Reynolds for reaching out to the family and talking to them about trying to do some sort of memorial for the young Noel Bascon. They are on the call. They do want to say a few words. What we would be doing is installing a memorial bench across the street from the park, right where there's a kind of a makeshift memorial right now. And then we would be planting a tree in the park. Both of those would have plaques that say on them in memory of Noel Bascon. So I would love to turn it over to them. I think Sylvia or Brenda, however we need to get them on the call. My heart goes out to them as a father that's gone on many bike rides with my kids to suffer the tragedy that they did. So without further ado, I would like to invite them to say a few words.
Okay, I'll bring them into the meeting. Please go ahead and speak.
It is Eleanor and Glenn. Eleanor or Glenn, would you like to say a few words?
There you go. Are you there?
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes.
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 Okay.
We could before, we cannot now. Would you like maybe to try that again?
Can you hear us now?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Okay. Thank you to Councilwoman Arlis Reynolds and to Director Jason Minter and everybody on the staff for taking the time to consider this memorial for our son. Appreciate it, and it truly means a lot to us because Noel, he loved it at that park. We've been taking him there since he was a toddler. It was a very unfortunate accident, and we're devastated by it. But I'm hoping that this memorial will, this event would serve as a lesson for everybody to be more aware of the safety needs in our parks, in our city, and for everybody else in the community to be responsible drivers. I hope the memorial serves not only to honor Noel, but to remind everyone of their responsibility to the community, especially to our children, and to keep our parks more safe. And whatever we can do to increase the safety there for everyone that goes there would be great. It would mean a lot to us, so that this doesn't happen again to any other family.
Thank you, Eleanor. Glenn, did you want to say something as well? Glenn, did you want to say a few words?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Like my wife said, we are so grateful and very thankful for all the offers and this for safety purpose cause, and my son's legacy will stay there, Costa Mesa Park. He's been coming to the park since he was a toddler up to 12 years, and that's thanks for the time. I appreciate it truly from the deepest part of my heart. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you, Glenn, for being on the call again. We're so sorry for your loss. And I know there's a few other things that we've been in communication with Councilman Reynolds about trying to do to honor your son. So there may be announcements coming forward in the future about other opportunities we can to memorialize him. So
we're looking forward. Yes, we're looking forward, sir. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
So included in the item is the request that the commission approve both the bench and the tree. There is a lead time before all of those are installed or before the tree gets planted. The plaques have to be ordered, but we will make sure that we keep the commission as well as the family in communication so that they know when everything will be installed. But again, terribly heart-wrenching tragedy, but I think this is the least we can do to honor Noel and their family. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you to Rob. Rob was one of the ones that worked with this on me. So thank you to Public Services and for their efforts as well. And again, for Councilwoman Reynolds and reaching out and taking that first step to make sure the family knows that they're important and their son's life will not go forgotten.
Thank you, Director Minter. To the family, to the parents, may this memorial, may his memorial be a blessing to all of us and to this community. With that, are there any comments by the commission at this time? All right, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt this recommendation.
I would like to make the motion to approve the installation of the memorial bench, tree, and the plaque.
I'll second the motion.
We have a second from Commissioner Rutherford.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and call for the vote. Chair Ashendorf,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Pullen,
Yes.
Commissioner Andrade Vallarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Doran Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 7-0.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
The
you
next,
both for being on the call. I really appreciate it. And I will be in touch with you soon.
all right, the next item under new business is the tree removal request. We have a staff presentation.
Good afternoon. I'm Robert Ryan, Acting Maintenance Superintendent for the Maintenance Services Division. I say congratulations to Chair Ashendorf and Vice Chair Rutherford, and congratulations and welcome to the new commissioners. The next item before you is the request for the removal of a tree located on the Bucknell side of 2528 Vassar Place. Maintenance Services Department was contacted by the applicant on November 10th, 2020, requesting the removal of a southern magnolia tree located in the parkway on the Bucknell Road side of 2528 Vassar Place. The applicant reported an excessive amount of exposed roots growing onto the property, which they felt had become a potential tripping hazard. The city arborist inspected the trees and found no justification for removal at staff level. The applicant was notified of these findings and requested that the tree be presented to the PAX Commission for consideration as a Category 3 discretionary removal. That's the reason it's before you this afternoon. As a note, the applicant also did file a claim with the city on October 23rd, 2020, in order to recoup the costs associated with having a contractor remove the roots from their yard. The claim was settled on January 28, 2021, with the city agreeing to cover the cost of the removal of the tree roots. That information is before you in the staff report under attachment 4. The tree was inspected on November 19th, 2020. It's approximately 30 to 45 feet in height. It is healthy, pest-free, and in good condition. The tree is growing in a 5-foot parkway and was last maintained on February 4th, 2021. Root barrier panels were installed adjacent to this tree on the street side, which would be this side of the tree, if you can see my cursor. That was on October of 2017, and again on the private property side, which would be this side here, the sidewalk, on April of 2018. Some of those panels appear to have been damaged during the landscape renovation being performed by the applicant's contractor. The contractor was able to remove a significant amount of roots from the yard, as you can see in these 2 pictures. And you can see in these photos that all of the turf has been removed along with the roots that were of concern. There were no noticeable signs of roots on the Vassar Place side nor on the Bucknell side of the property. There's still approximately 30 feet of viable root barrier left in place on the private property side of the residence. The city-owned tree being requested to be for removal is located in the public right-of-way. The tree is in good condition, has been maintained on a regular schedule. The exposed roots have been removed from the landscape by the applicant, and the applicant was reimbursed by the city through the claim process. The tree does not meet the criteria for a Category 1 health and safety removal. Therefore, it is recommended that the commission deny the request to remove this tree. Now, that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this issue this evening?
If you would like to make a comment regarding the Vassar Place tree removal, can you please raise your hand? I have one. I have someone on telephone. I'm going to allow them to speak. Here they come. Can you state your name? I have a telephone number of 714-624-3834. Can you go ahead and unmute yourself and state your name? If you hit *6, there you go. Can you?
Yes.
There you are.
This is Roseanne Eichenbaum, a resident at 2528 Vassar Place. The city has a very thorough record of this magnolia tree. It has been an issue in our yard, as you see, back to 2013. The roots have been removed down to 4 inches below the sidewalk, and there are still roots the size of a quarter in diameter, a quarter as in a coin piece, that I have been trying to dig out myself. And even your arborist, Jim Ortiz, he and I have discussed this numerous times. The root barriers are there, but they will not stop the roots from growing. The tree is gorgeous. I mean, I parked under it for almost 20 years now, but the roots became a large problem for my husband and our grandchildren. So when I finally paid someone to take all these roots out and re-landscape the property, my concern is that the roots are going to continue to grow, and should I stay in my home for another 10 years, the roots will be back. And I signed a document stating that the claim for reimbursement of the root removal is a one-time issue and cannot be brought up again. So I'm trying to think forward. I will be spending more than $10,000 to re-landscape my yard, and with the roots come back, which they will, how do I deal with them then? Do you have any suggestions? Hello?
Hello. Is that all you have to add at this point, Ms. Eichenbaum? We can open it up.
I do have a question. If the city felt that these roots were not reason enough to remove the tree, I was surprised that they were willing to pay for the root removal, knowing that they would return, the roots would return. And I'm thankful that you did, but you can see the root barrier has not stopped the roots.
If you'd like to stay on the call and listen to the conversation, we can open this up and have some response by staff and also questions by commissioners.
Fine, thank you.
All right, thank you. Staff, would you like to respond to the issues that were brought up by the homeowner?
Is there a specific question, Chair Ashendorf?
Her question about the claim that she mentioned, that the claim was good for 1 year, and I was wondering if you could clarify that.
Commissioner Ashendorf, that's more of a legal question as far as the documents that she signed, and I'm not aware of the specificity of that.
Okay, thank you. All right, then let's open it up for discussion with the other commissioners, please. Yes, Commissioner Quinton.
I think one of the only questions I would have is the root barriers. Are they meant to redirect the roots so that they don't destroy the sidewalk and her property? Is that something that's going to be a long-term fix? Is it just a temporary fix? Like she says, is she going to have to worry about this in another 10 years? Or is this something that can be redirected that's not going to affect her property again?
Commissioner Pullen, thank you for the question. The root barriers are meant to design to drive the roots deeper down into the ground. It's not a guarantee. There's a possibility that roots will resurface.
What kind of cost would that be to the city because not only would we have to take those roots out, we'd have to redo that concrete area as well, right?
Not necessarily. The concrete's in good shape. The tree is not affecting the concrete. I believe there's been some sidewalk grinds in the past.
Okay.
But no, that has not been an issue for the city.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Raised hand by Commissioner Rutherford. Is that correct?
Thank you, Chair Ashendorf. Commissioner Glab had a question as well, so I'll let you go first.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, I was wondering, could you explain the agreement that she signed with the city? I'm just needed more verification on that, the agreement she signed.
Commissioner Glab, I don't have specifics on the agreement. That was a legal process through the claims department. So she was, or if she has not received the check, she will be reimbursed by the city for that dollar amount that she filed the claim for. As far as agreement, I believe that does release the city from this current claim. But I think as far as future claims, that's a legal representation that I can't make. So I'm not sure.
Oh, how could we find out? Is there a way to, because what she was saying is that she would have to, anything that happened with the tree in the future, she would have to cover the costs. Unless she made another claim. Does that mean she can't make any more claims?
That question would have to be answered through the city's risk management department.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Rutherford?
Yeah, well, thanks to Commissioner Pullen and Glab for the questions. And Mr. Ryan, thank you for the excellent and thorough presentation as always. I'm personally a tree hugger, as they say. I think, healthy trees are an incredibly valuable piece of the green infrastructure in our city and the public health infrastructure in our city. And the commission over the past few years, and in my service here, we've had a track record of supporting healthy trees. And so while I'm very empathetic and very much appreciate the time of the homeowner this evening in telling us about this and making their case, I'm inclined to protect this tree because it's a healthy tree and there's no health and safety risks to the community. I actually visited the tree. It's a beautiful tree, looks in amazing shape. We've had other tree removals come before us where there's been a lot of damage to the sidewalks. And that was not the case with this tree. So it didn't seem, just from my anecdotal visit to the site, it didn't seem as severe as requests that we've had in the past. So those were just my thoughts. And thanks again, Mr. Ryan, for the presentation.
Are there any other commissioners with comments? Yes, Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Hi. Like Commissioner Rutherford, I went by and visited the tree. It's a beautiful tree. And I was looking at sidewalks because there's a lot of disruption on the east side from the city trees disrupting sidewalks and also bike lanes and things like that. This didn't seem to be the case. I am curious and would like to understand from this homeowner what she signed off on. So she's very worried about the roots, and our city staff is very well versed in trying to mitigate roots damaging, not only just sidewalks, but properties on either side. So I would really like to understand if she finds out in 8 years, 5 years, or 10 years that the mitigation of the roots ended up coming into her yard and damaging what the work she did and what she finds is safe for her family. I'd like to know a little bit just to confirm that the city does their job, but if something unforeseen happens, that she didn't sign away her ability to make sure her safety of her family without trying to kill the tree. I mean, I'm with I'm with Commissioner Rutherford. We need to keep as many trees as we can, especially mature trees are so important for our to our health.
Thank you, Commissioner Dorn Parker. Any other comments? Anything you'd like to respond? Yet, Mr. Ryan, any responses?
I'd just like to point out that the applicant does have the opportunity to present this again before the PACS Commission after 12 months if you choose to deny this request.
Okay. Thank you. And I would just like to add, I also visited the site, and if you look at some of the pictures that are in the report on pages 11 and 15, there is an extensive amount of root damage that comes from the homeowner's property all of those trees there that are all put together, and I'm not sure what the name of those trees are, but the sidewalk is intact. The root structure that looks to have been a problem is closer to the street and has not impacted the sidewalk. My concern would be, is it possible that we could strengthen or increase the root barrier? They did look like they were rather compromised. That would be my only recommendation, but I'm in agreement with the two other commissioners at this point.
Chair Ashendorf, can I make a motion at this time?
Absolutely, Commissioner Rutherford, Vice Chair Rutherford.
I'd like to motion to approve the staff recommendation with a caveat of seeing if city staff can work on anything related to the root barrier to protect the sidewalk.
I will second that motion.
We have a second from Dorn Parker. I'm going to call for the question. Chair Ashendorf,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
No.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Pullen,
Yes.
Commissioner Andrade Villarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yes.
The motion carries 6-1 with no vote from Commissioner Glab.
Thank you very much. The next item on tonight's agenda is the host community meeting on proposed improvements at Ketchum Libels Park.
Thank you, Chairperson Ashendorf. This is an item where the commission gets to host and hopefully engage the community in a discussion to find out what things they would like to see at Ketchum Libels Park. Included in the item is a brief background on it. It's a relatively small space, only 0.34 acres. There are quite a few elements in the park already, including a very mature tree. Hopefully you've had a chance to go by or see the park. One of the challenges typically is parking. It's more of a neighborhood park that hopefully you're walking to or biking to. It's also located next to Victoria Street, which can be busy, especially during drive times. So we've had a number of community meetings already. I met with students from SOI on 2 occasions 2 weeks ago, and we had 2 Zooms that were set up last Thursday. We only had a couple people join the Zooms, so maybe they're not used to it. Maybe it's not a community-friendly environment for outreach, but we did have a meeting at the park on Saturday, as mentioned previously by Commissioner Rutherford, and I know Commissioner Parker and Commissioner Ashendorf were at that meeting, and it was, in this COVID environment where we're used to Zooms and screens, it was very nice to be out in the park again. We got a lot of great feedback from the community, including from a couple of the little people, as Commissioner Ashendorf called them, that they have the best perspective when it comes to what do they want to see in parks. It's about the kids and then the parents after that. So when it comes to what this discussion is all about, I want to hear your thoughts as commissioners. What we're doing is gathering all of these different ideas. There's still a lot of outreach left to do. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we have a complete application that we can send to the state to qualify for nearly $1 million in Proposition 68 park improvement money. We do have some design dollars already set aside, but this would be basically the construction costs to cover the full project. Like I said, it's not a very big area, so we have to kind of put some sort of a limit on how many things we can squeeze into it. But like I said, the ideas that we got from the public were great, and it's all about trying to maximize the small space that we have. How much can we do that's multi-purpose? What are your other safety concerns? I've been to the park a handful of times, but I've never been at night. So getting the feedback from the community about what it's like at night, it's always great to hear different people's perspectives. It's almost impossible to get members of the community to agree on one set design. but that will come in the future. So we're just trying to get an application submitted for a grant, and then we'll be bringing an architect on, and basically we'll restart the community input process, but with an actual architect that's been hired and on contract that provides all those really cool architectural drawings and things like that that they can do way better than I can. So with that, I'll turn it over or back to you, Commissioner Ashendorf. Hopefully we do get some members of the public to join in, but any and all feedback that we get tonight, we'll be taking notes. A lot of it, some of the ideas may be redundant from previous meetings, but that's okay. Please feel free to share whatever your thoughts are on this particular project.
Thank you, Director Minter. Is there anyone from the would like to address the commission on this item?
I will check. Anybody in public comments? Would you like to make a public comment regarding Ketchum Liebelt Park? Please raise your hand. I have one. I have David Ibarra. Go ahead, David. Go ahead and unmute. Thank you.
Hello. First of all, I want to say I go by David Martinez. So I just wanted to say I went to the community meeting at Ketchum Liebelt. I thought it was great. One thing I did want to mention is connectivity and biking and walking around that area. I'm on the Bikeway and Walkability Committee now, so this is something important to me. If you're trying to get from the end of Minor Street to Ketchum Liebelt Park, you have to walk half a mile just to get to your close neighborhood park. I guess in that case, it's not really that close anymore. So what I would like to see is access from Minor Street, from Meyer, from Puente, from Raleigh, all of those dead-end streets that end on Victoria, pedestrian access to make sure people have a way to get to their park and a way for them to walk around the city easier. Also, along that edge is just a path, dirt, trees, some plants. A bicycle trail there would be nice along Victoria Street. We already have that past, I believe, Placentia that goes all the way over to Vista Park. So having it connect all the way over to Ketchum Liebelt to Harbor Boulevard, that would be great to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this item from the public?
Chair Ashendorf, I don't have any other raised hands.
Thank you. Then we'll close public comment and open this item up now for discussion with the commission. Before, I would just like to say, I see you've tried, Director Minter, several ways to engage the community. And now that we have a commissioner whose district that is in, I hope that we can enlist Commissioner Garcia and his ideas and his youthfulness, if you will, to bring the community together. We can't have a big event there to pull in people to interview them. So hopefully we're going to have to try some new ways of engagement.
Absolutely, and I think it's a good time to point out we do have a survey that is available through the website. To date, I checked right before the meeting started, we had 18 people that had completed the online survey. It is available both in English and Spanish on the same form, and we do get the metrics back because it is through the wonderful app SurveyMonkey. So that is available. You can find that on the website, or if anybody wants it, I can probably post it into the chat bar in just a second.
Thank you, Director Minter. Any other hands up? All right, then I
see Commissioner Doran Parker.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Commissioner Doran Parker.
I just have a question because I was able to be at the on-site park and hear from everybody and meet quite a few of the people. What are you envisioning would be in addition to what you've done? Because I gather from all of this, you would like another round of community engagement. And I'd love to understand from Commissioner Garcia also, because it's sort of his area of the community. So what do you have in mind? Because I'm always open to hear from the community. I think that's a great idea, especially we're applying for this grant. It's in a community that, as I call, underparked. And this is a very used little tiny park. I couldn't believe how much they do in that little tiny space and how much that community relies on that. Especially what was interesting to me was the teens and preteens. That was significant. So I just would like to understand, because I'm always for additional community engagement.
Would Commissioner Garcia like to speak, or before I kind of follow up with her?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to do a quick screen share. I believe I can, just to make sure everybody's seeing the same thing. So this is basically Ketchum Libel Park. If you're looking east, some of the things that were discussed was this large concrete area. There are some actually designs in the concrete. There's a chess checkerboard over here. There's hopscotch over here. There's a tic-tac-toe board. But many people come to the park and don't even know that it's there. So we talked about trying to find ways that if we're going to keep all that concrete as it is, to make it pop, make it more visible so people know what it's about. Some of the discussions were just about the landscaping over here along the side. Is there a possibility of doing kind of a bike trail around the edge to make it like a bike training course? Because there's very little space in that neighborhood for kids to learn to ride bikes and get real good with their bike skills. I know we talked a little bit about the landscaping that's at the front. People talked about liking that having, the dog waste bag dispenser. However, we don't have a dog bowl dispenser, so could we potentially add a bowl for dogs? The playground that's there, it's pretty much geared towards kids that are 5 to 12, and there are only 2 swings in the park, and both of the swings are belt swings, which are for older kids. So we talked about trying to enhance the park by adding a couple more bays of swings, including a toddler swing or 2, and then perhaps a swing for ADA individuals, which is a component that also could have much, a great value here at the park. I believe it was mentioned, and I'm going to move you here, try not to get dizzy, the green space along here. That's definitely one of the topics of conversation is, do we take down this 10-foot wall that runs the length of the park and move it basically to the south, closer to the edge? Any acreage we're able to gain obviously becomes more usable park space. And it's just trying to balance the traffic that comes along Victoria, the people that kind of whip the corner here going down Maple, and how do we best use this space? So there was some discussion, like Mr. Martinez said, about bike trails. Can we make this a bike corridor all along Victoria? So that was part of the conversation as well. There was some requests for shade wherever we have picnic tables or maybe some of the park benches. Can we provide shade elements? And there was some discussion on some multi-purpose courts, for kids to play futsal or soccer or even basketball. And again, we started getting to the point where we know we can't put all of those things in a park this small, but definitely a lot of great ideas that we want to try to incorporate as best we can, working with an architect, in maybe 2 or 3 months, ideally, with the timeline of vaccinations and the release of some of the gathering type restrictions due to COVID. When we do get ready to start some of these architect-led meetings, we'd have the ability to have more people come together, whether it's in small groups, but I think in-person meetings at the park typically work best for people that really want to share their feedback, and being there in the park is the best environment to do so. I think those are the majority of the items. I know based on the conversation I had with Commissioner Pullen, he was like, well, what about fitness equipment? And that did not come at the meeting, but I did bring it up because it's something that I like to see in parks. Little things like sandboxes were recommended by a couple of little ones. It's really great. And for those of you that went out, I hope you were able to go to the park at a time when there's families there, especially with kids, because I had stopped by on a Friday and I got to speak with a mom, and she had 3 little ones with her. And that's, I think you get the most out of those conversations when there's no pressure, there's no, people looking at you. It's just, having a one-on-one conversation with a parent that has their kids there. and hearing what the kids have to say. And they were pretty funny. They wanted another water fountain, even though he's like holding a water bottle in his hand. And I'm like, okay, hey, you still have a right to ask. So I think that summarizes most of it. But yes, we're not done with community outreach. Ideally, we're keeping track of all the emails of people that have shared their comments, their concerns, or taken or completed the survey online, so that we can, bring everybody together again once we get closer. So I do thank Councilman Chavez for being at the meeting on Saturday. It was great to have him there, and I know his mom and sister were there too. So it's a family affair, and that's what parks are all about. So again, any thoughts you guys have, let me have them.
Commissioner Pullen.
He kind of took what I was about to say about the fitness stuff, but one of my things is going around the parks. I understand that we're trying to improve the family experience in parks, not just for kids. So when I look at the parks, the biggest question that comes to my mind is what's there for adults besides a bench, So you can sit and watch your kids play and things like that. And so I think if anything that this COVID pandemic has shown us is that we need to have outdoor space that's available for adults to be able to do things as well as kids. So, I have some ideas for improvements on that end and things like that. So I look forward to talking with the architects and people like that.
Oh, yes, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure Commissioner Garcia could share his input because I know you probably know that area better than all of us.
But I was about to talk. The only thing that I wanted to talk about was that the education of the community. When I canvassed that neighborhood, Ketchum and Libel Park was initially created to commemorate two helicopter pilots from Costa Mesa that passed away in a helicopter crash. But when you ask members of the community if they know why the park exists or they know why it's there, they don't really know why it's there. So I think any additions to helping commemorate the two police officers that passed away in the helicopter are really going to help out. And then secondly, heighten the parking enforcement in and around the area, just because a lot of people in the morning or when it's getting into the afternoon, they want to go to the park. They can't actually access the park because there's cars parked blocking that driveway right there where the gate is to actually go into the park. So it just becomes a nuisance for them. And then thirdly, there's a lot of people that aren't so attractive that are going to the park. And although that isn't a crime, it puts other people in that community and they think they're fearing for their own safety. So any of those, combination of those three things would really help out with the park.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. And now to you, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to echo what Commissioner Garcia said. Also, as Director Minter mentioned, I think there were some really powerful ideas from the community that were shared that we can elevate, that we were hearing from multiple community members. In particular, a lot of people mentioned wanting to be able to bring their dogs to the park. And that's something we've been hearing, not just related to this park. There's a high demand throughout the city and indeed in other cities for more dog parks, more spaces. I've also heard from community members and from members of city staff about how Costa Mesa, compared to any of our neighboring cities, except maybe Santa Ana, we have less sports fields and basketball courts per capita than other cities. So to your point, Commissioner Pullen, I think that's a great point about the need for adult recreation space. So I don't know if we can fit a half court for basketball in there, but I'm sure that would be popular with the community. So just a couple thoughts.
Thank you, Vice Chair Rutherford. Any other comments? All right, then hearing none, I assume then you'll be bringing this back to us, Director Minter?
Absolutely. The grant deadline is the 12th of March. Once we ship it off, we'll have to wait and see, what the timeline is for them to get. This is the fourth and final round of this grant funding source, Prop 68. So this is our last bite at the apple in terms of this grant. We're always looking for potential funding sources. This project seems perfect for the grant source. So I really am optimistic that we have a great chance to put in a good application and get the funding.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Oh, I see another hand up there.
Yeah.
Dorn Parker.
Yeah, I just have a question. Did I hear right that the application is due before our next commission meeting, correct? So do you need any action from us to be able to move forward with that from the commission or not really?
No, this is really more about hosting it and giving the community an access channel to share your thoughts or their thoughts, not only with us as staff, but with you as the commission, so that you can hopefully get the pulse of the community and what they want to see at their parks.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. The next item on this evening's agenda is the Park Ranger Monthly Report, which was included in your packet.
Thank you. Just to speak on that, we have been working with the police department to make sure that we get this information for the commissioners on a monthly basis. So there's a lot of information here, and I do appreciate our partners over in law enforcement for our police department for putting this together for us. If there are questions, I know at our last meeting, there were a couple of questions about citations and what that meant. I did follow up with the individual commissioners that asked, but just for the good of the new commissioners. There were a couple violations that were dealing with bike licenses, and the information that I got back from the police department were that the police officers do have the ability to cite people for not having bike licenses. I won't ask you to raise your hand if you actually have your bike license, because I think it's not necessarily common practice, but it's something that we should always encourage our community to do. It helps our law enforcement officers if there are, smaller crimes in the city, robberies, things like that. If we have bike licenses attached to bicycles, they can operate as kind of a fix-it ticket where the cops have an opportunity to waive it if they know the person got the bike license. Typically, there's other circumstances involved for those, but it is something that is, by law available to officers. And the bike licenses can be purchased, I believe, through the front desk at the police department. I know for a short period of time, due to COVID, they weren't having people come into the front desk, but that's been, released, and now people can go to the police department to get their bike licenses. So that was one of the conversations that came up because of the Ranger report from last month. And that's all I have on that.
Any questions from the commission? Yes, Commissioner Glab.
Director Mentor, can you do the bike license online or only going into the police department?
I believe it's through the police department. I thought it might be through the fire department as well. But if you'd like, I can follow up and let everybody know.
I was just wondering if you have to show up in person or if you can just, I know for the dog license, you can do it online.
Yeah, I know that, I believe there's stickers or whatever that they put on it. So I believe they prefer to do it in person, but I can still follow up.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got mine in person when I got my bike license. I won't disclose when I got it though.
What?
I won't disclose when I got my bike.
Oh, okay. I will not ask.
Well, I received mine at the fire department pre-COVID. Any other comments by the commission?
I believe we have a member of the public, Mr. Martinez Ibarra, who has a comment on the item.
Yes, we have a public comment, Commissioner, do you want me to?
Yes, thank you.
Just a moment. David, would you like to speak?
Yeah, hi, it's me again. So thank you, Director Minter, for following up with me from the last meeting. It's good to know the purpose of why. It's good to have the police department back up and giving out bike licenses. But this time around in January, the amount of bike license citations was 4, which was equal to the amount of citations that was given October, November, and December of last year combined. So it seems like they're ramping it up, their enforcement of it, which to me doesn't make any sense. I asked, how are people to know it exists? The park rangers responded back, oh, well, we do bike rodeos at schools. And I've attended Costa Mesa Public Schools for 13 of the last 14 years. I had never heard of a bike license in that time. So I asked about demographic information about who is receiving the bike licenses. In their email, they said that there is no demographic information. When I got my bicycle license in mid-February, I asked the police officer, I said, well, from your knowledge, who is getting these bike licenses and why are they coming in? And she responded, oh, well, it's mostly transients because they received a citation. So that to me says that we shouldn't be giving out citations for this. They shouldn't have to receive a penalty, a citation, a fine, or have to pay a court processing fee to get rid of that citation. I don't want people to be discouraged from riding their bike because they don't have a bike license and they're afraid of getting cited. I want people to ride their bike over driving their car. I don't want to put a burden on people by forcing them to go to the police department, which I think right now is the only place that's giving out bike licenses. So what I would suggest is that officers be able to register bikes remotely wherever. If an officer sees that someone does not have their bike license, just say, hey, by the way, there's this thing, it's a bike license. It makes it so that if your bike is stolen, we'll be able to retrieve it for you. Would you like to get your bike license right now? And instead of me coming here every meeting and saying, why are there so many bicycle license citations? It'll be me celebrating that 100 people had their bicycles registered and got their bike license so that we can encourage biking in the city, so that we know how many bicycles are being used. So yeah, I just want to bring this up again. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Martinez. We appreciate them. Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yeah, I very much appreciate Mr. Martinez's comments. I think he has good insight as a member of the Bikeway and Walkability Committee. Director Mentor, I think there's some really good points that were raised tonight, ideas perhaps of how we could move forward with this. I think Commissioner Glad made an excellent point that why can't we get them online? You know, maybe the city could send them the license sticker. And then secondly, I appreciate the email conversation we had about this, but that left me very concerned that it's at the discretion of the officer whether or not they get to issue a monetary citation penalty, or the penalty is you need to go get your bike license to avoid paying the citation. So I would like to see that as an option for people, or more encouraging the education side of things rather than going straight to a financial penalty, which I don't think is, to Mr. Ibarra's point, that discourages from people from getting out on their bike in the community, and we want to encourage that, not discourage that.
Perhaps I could do a follow-up with the police department and maybe engage someone and see if they wouldn't be able to come and speak before the commission to better be able to answer your questions. I will talk to the chief about it, see who I can get to do that, and like I said, perhaps agendize something to have somebody come back to the commission for that discussion.
That would be appreciated. Thank you. Thank you.
So I don't want to speak for the police officers or the chief. I want to stay in my lane. So, but I think if they want to come and speak on the matter, I think that would be the best way to handle it.
No, we look forward to that opportunity. If my recollection is correct, we may have had a park ranger address the commission every quarter. So it would be nice to have a presentation agendized. Seeing no other comments, we will now move to the director's report.
Well, thank you. I will take this one again. For the new commissioners, this is hopefully a sampling of a lot of what's going on. I can't say this is 100% all of it, but this is a lot. Previously mentioned, we talked about senior programs. I would like to share those numbers because they're pretty staggering, but 9,000 meals, 1,800 seniors are getting food. That's pretty awesome. And that wouldn't happen without the help of the nonprofit partners that we have working with our senior center. But that's, I think that speaks volumes to the commitment that the city has to our senior community. And again, to the partners that we have in making all that happen. I would like to point out this coming Sunday, we're getting dose 2 of a vaccination in partnership with Hope Hospital. Senior program staff were instrumental in making hundreds of phone calls to get 200 of our low-income seniors on the list for their first vaccination. That was February 7th. And then they get their second vaccination this coming Sunday. So we're hoping everybody, I know it's only 200, but every 200, I think helps in terms of getting all of our seniors their vaccinations. There was a blood drive back on February 22nd, and I know this is something that's routine that happens at the Downtown Rec Center. So there's one that's coming up. I think the next one might be in March, like March 16th or 17th. I can check on the date. But the Downtown Rec Center does help the Red Cross with the blood drives. The Aquatic Center continues to have their lap swimming. There's more sessions now than we would normally have because it's one of the only programs that we've been allowed to operate under COVID rules. The good news is we're getting ready to start some adult swim lessons and some aqua aerobics. Obviously, all the COVID rules have to be followed. There will be registration online or at the Downtown Aquatic Center. But we're excited because we're starting to see programs that are reopening to the community. And even though it's small and incremental, it's still, we're happy to see people that are able to participate and use our facilities. Because since I've been here since July, most of the facilities I go to are relatively quiet, and that's not what our rec programs are all about. The staff continue to host the virtual community center, so that's a positive. Oh, and I don't want to skip Fairview Park. Commissioner Poland mentioned Fairview Park. I just, for clarification purposes, what we call those is restoration days, as opposed to cleanup. It's not really trash cleanup. I mean, if you see trash, by all means, pick it up. But it's restoration. It's about removing non-native plant species that are in certain areas of Fairview Park. And that way we can allow the native species to be planted or to take over. So that is kind of a clarification. They usually have appointments and try to limit it just due to the numbers. I think there's about 15 people that want to sign up for that. But if you know of someone that's interested, keep an eye out and we'll try to make sure that word gets out to everybody about how to join in to the restoration efforts. Most of those are in partnership with the Fairview Park Alliance. So that's one place that you can go to get more information for restoration. Adult sports, we're still working on our Major League Softball agreement. We think we're close to getting adult softball back at our parks. The way the governor re-released it as of tomorrow, the 26th, a lot of the restrictions have been loosened up a bit. There are some additional protocols that were put in place, but you will start seeing more and more activities pop up back at parks, specifically CIF sports related. So we did have one, it was the Costa Mesa High School had a cross country meet. They used a portion, if not all, of Hammett Park. And we do have, I think, one more scheduled for Costa Mesa High School. And we have two actually for Estancia High School that will be held at Fairview Park. So two cross country meets coming up in March, the 3rd and the 10th. So again, very exciting to see these activities pop back up in parks. Let's see, Perez Park, it is open. There's been a couple of issues that have come up recently and we're in the 90-day maintenance period. So we're trying to make sure all the grass gets established and the plant matter takes. So we are, and then again, a couple little punch list items, but it's a great little spot. It's a small park, but they pack a lot of it in there. And in addition to being a park with some playground elements, it also serves as a stormwater overflow runoff type park. So, if it's flooding, that may not be the park of choice. You might want to go somewhere else. But it is a great little space. It is open. There are some shade elements there. It's beautiful. And it'll be even more beautiful as the landscaping continues to mature. The movie night, it was last Friday. The public viewed Up. Unfortunately, due to the size of the parking lot, we're only able to accommodate about 40 cars, but it's still better than no cars. So it was a very good event. And then we have an upcoming park hop extravaganza. So there are like 5-foot decorated eggs that are being placed in different parks around the city. And the community members are invited to do a little scavenger hunt, find out which parks they're at, take pictures with them and send them in for prizes. So that's a great event in partnership with Torelli Realty. Let's see, what else do we have? There was a couple other questions. I know Commissioner Rutherford asked about Arbor Day. We are in the planning process for Costa Mesa or Love Costa Mesa Day, which is a fantastic volunteer effort day. I know it was mentioned before as well. And then a couple other things just to finish up. The commission does need to appoint a senior liaison, so we don't have to do that at this meeting, but it is something that we will want to identify hopefully at the next meeting. And then the commissioner or chairperson Ashendorf brought up the park signs. Yes, we've done an inventory of all of our park signs, which are the blue ones. And each of the blue ones has an email address attached to it for the district with which that park was in. Well, there's been a huge change to the districts as of the beginning of last month. So we're working with our public services team to get the signs updated, or at least little stickers put over so that each district is properly represented on their sign. Unfortunately, going from the old district system to the new district system, District 4, Commissioner Garcia, only has 2 parks. So you're only going to get emails from 2 different groups of people. Whereas I think one of our districts, I think it's 6, might have like 8 that are coming in. So we'll be working on getting those signs updated, as well as the website, to make sure that that the commission is accessible to the community. And anybody that wants to reach out to you, they can do so individually to your district's email or to the commission as a whole. So we're working on that, along with upgrading the website or updating the website with that information. So with that, those are all my items for tonight, but I'm happy to answer or try to answer any questions that you may have.
Any final questions or thoughts from the commission before we adjourn? Well, seeing nothing, then we will adjourn to March 25th. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Good meeting, Chair Ashendorf. Thank you.
A good team.
Thank you, Chair. And thanks to Director Minter, killing it.